All right. Welcome. We're live. This is the second episode of Cigars with Marines. And quick warning for all you civilians out there. This is not a show for you. Turn it off. Bad words are the least of your concerns. So
Filth.
Not for you. Yeah.
Lots of filth.
Yeah. I mean, 2 Marines in one spot is just not going to. So that's your warning. That's the only warning you're going to get, I think. But for everyone else, for all the Marines out there, hey, the whole point is just to come together, to share good times, talk about some of the fun stories, remember some of the hilarious things that went on, smoke a cigar. And then the second part, we're just going to talk about what we did when we got out, you know? So, because that's all about that too, you know? What you do when you in, what you do when you get out. So that's it. So Will Tagye is my guest. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Welcome. Why don't you say hi? Introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Will Tagye. I was 0311 from 95 to 99.
A little infantry action. I like that.
Indeed. Separated and now just kind of living the life in the civilian world. Still doing work for the Gov, though. Ancillary. We'll get into a little bit more depth later on, though. Cool.
And I forgot. The smoking light is lit. So we can light these puppies up. You picked this one out here. This is a, what'd you call this?
My Father is the
My Father
brand. Yeah, and it's they're pretty old school. They've been around for a while, and I think the father started it, but these are the sons now that are running the business. Okay. So they cool. It's a good smoke, solid,
Sweet.
Good company. In fact, when I showed it downstairs, one of the guys said that he was pretty sure this was.
Everyone at home is like, what's that? If you're not watching, if you're just listening, that pause is these cigars being turned on.
It's a smoking lamp, man.
Smoking
it just
lamp
came on.
is lit.
Yeah, so it's a one of the higher ranked cigars this year. So I just tried it. I saw it. I thought it looked a little funky. I like the Lancero. It's it reminds me of the villains in the old cowboy movies. Usually had a long, skinny cigar. So
Eastwood, did he have a long one? Cigar, that is.
I could just take a bad turn.
We already warned people, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think he usually a little bit smaller, almost like a cigarello.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
you know, it had this weird aqua colored thing on the end.
Yeah,
never seen that before.
I'm a sucker for good marketing. I'm sure you can appreciate
marketing.
That. But I mean, band, you know, names, even just not just the brand name, but the product line name, how it's advertised, all this little fun stuff is. I'm just a total sucker for it. So
you know, it's kind of like buying cigars can be, if you don't know, it can be like buying cigars, buying wine, right? What label do you like? Man, this thing looks good.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it had 2 stickers and a little ribbony thing at the end.
It got the blue ribbon. It was first.
Oh, is that what that is?
For sure.
Sure. Why not? All right. So 0311.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking. I like this. So take us back. Take us back. But tell me, East Coast, West Coast?
East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew up Dayton, Ohio.
Nice.
Left 18, graduated from high school, went in, went Parris Island, went in the Marine Corps, and Security Force Marine. So went through School of Infantry and then went to Chesapeake for Security Force School. From there, I was stationed in Diego Garcia, which probably nobody knows where it is.
Heard it? I don't know where it's at, though. Where is that at?
It's, I believe it was 5 degrees south of the equator, north or south, I'm not sure.
Oh.
In the Indian Ocean. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a British Indian Ocean territory, so the Brits own it.
Okay.
But there's some, it's one of the 3rd or 4th landing site for the space shuttle, and there's some other satellite tracking and other things there. So it's kind of a strategic location. There's some bombings that during the first Gulf War, some bombings right now there, possibly in the last or the current conflict as well. But so I was there for.
But this sounds like a sweet location.
You know what?
The equator?
It was like Fantasy Island without all the beautiful women.
Yeah, not like Temptation Island.
No.
Yeah, have you seen that?
No.
There's a new show on right now, Temptation Island. 5 couples who want to put their relationship to the test.
Oh, that's a good idea.
AKA, they should have broken up already, but they decided they go on this island, and there's 15 good looking of the opposite sex for both of them.
Yeah, skanky peeps.
Yeah, I checked it out on YouTube. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. It was funny. Anyways, continue. You're on Temptation Island.
I'm on Temptation
with a bunch
Island
of Marines,
with a bunch of dudes, and you know, you say that, and I remember when I landed, and I went, you know, we went to the E Club the first time, grabbed some chow, checking in, going through the whole thing, and there's a large Navy contingent there as well, and then there's Brits, and it's all Brit Royal Marines. It's all dudes that are there as well.
Okay,
but like day one, I'm there, and I'm like, I've seen 3 girls, and they're 3s. They're pretty rough. Dude, a month, they're 10s, right?
Okay.
And it's just,
okay.
you know, it's all about supply and demand, right?
They say distance makes the heart grow fonder or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on this island. It was great weather. I mean, as long as you don't have the sleeves rolled down or some BS like that, because, you know, first sergeant's like some regulation.
No, it was pre all that.
Okay, cool.
So we had sleeves up. The Navy folks are actually rocking shorts, short, like jean shorts. They're rocking jorts. And
were they like a uniform issued shorts?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll have a producer here with us who can like pull up an image of jorts, you know, for us.
Sailor jorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there, and then the Khobar Towers were bombed in Saudi Arabia. So it was an Air Force barracks. That would have been
sucks.
It does suck, but that would have been like August, maybe, I think July, August time frame.
Okay.
And by October we were PCSing to Bahrain. So the entire company got stood down, moved to Bahrain, and stayed at right. We ended up. I was at the Manai Plaza, but everybody else was on kind of the base providing force protection. Fast Company went in first, established the security perimeter, kind of put up some temporary posts, sandbags and whatnot, and then, you know, within a month we were there replacing them in place. So
shit.
Yeah, it was
let me get this straight. Some asshole blows up something in Saudi Arabia and then you get pulled off Temptation Island?
Yes.
Damn.
But I mean, it was Temptation Island, but it was
boring.
The island, if you look it up, you Google it, it's 26 miles long. It's shaped like a U, and the average width is 100 meters. So 100? It's got this, it looks like a sperm, right? So you got the head of the sperm here, and then the tail comes all the way down and up and around, and there's a lagoon in the middle. Everything's on this like tiny little spot up here.
Jeez.
And there's nothing. And so it was, you know, we'd go to the field, it was just training constantly.
Right.
You know, and so it wasn't a bad thing at the time to go do something kind of exciting, you know.
Yeah.
Hindsight, you know, the wisdom of age tells me that I should have enjoyed it a lot more than I did.
Sure.
But it was good times. I mean, how many people have been there? It was an amazing environment.
What's it called again?
Diego Garcia.
Diego Garcia. Yeah. Sounds like a cigar.
It does sound like
they should make a cigar called that.
They should. It's a pretty cool place. There's maritime prepositioning there as well. So you get a group of like motley sailors come in, like legit sailors,
right.
You know, come in, not Navy folks, but dudes that are like sailors by job.
Don't want to mess with them. Yeah. Maybe you'll still mess with them. But.
Totally squared away on the boat, but when they get off, they're usually a hot mess. You know, so they were all good dudes. You know, we had good times.
Good.
So went to Bahrain, was in Bahrain for about 9 months, and that was.
What's that? And where's that? Is that Saudi Arabia? That's like in tip of Saudi Arabia? Or?
No, it's right off the coast. So it's I think it's like 2 miles from Saudi Arabia, or a mile from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay.
Huge oil refining capabilities, and so it's strategic. They're actually one of our best allies as a nation in that region. So I was just reading something recently that, you know, we're really fostering and maintaining that relationship because they are so important strategically because of their refinement capabilities, but also, you know, they have America's best interest or aligned with theirs. So they're like supportive of Israel. They're you know, kind of what you don't expect, but they're Sunni controlled with a Shia majority that is, you know, not as well off as the Sunnis are. Gotcha. But so there's some political unrest that we were dealing with when we were there.
Right. And shout out to Bahrain.
Shout out to Bahrain. BPS, Bahrain Public Security, you guys are doing a great job. And so any of the unrest that we saw was primarily political in nature. So it was, you know, they would set off propane tanks with car tires around it. So it just makes a massive amount of noise, but not a whole lot of shrapnel or anything like that. There were some car bombs that went off near the end of my time there. But none of it was like U.S. focused. It was all against the Sunni.
Oh, internal.
Yeah, Shia Sunni.
Sucks.
Fun. But it was so it was good. We set up posts. It was a lot of, 4 on, 8 off, going to react, 4 on, going to backup.
4 on? What kind of wimpy shit is that? 4 on, 8 off. Oh, well, the 8 off, and then you go back to on the 4.
Then you go back on the 4.
Okay.
And so when you're on
It's
React,
weird, yeah.
in React, you're still in your camis. You can't change out, right? And then backup, you're actually allowed to go back to your room or wherever, and wherever you're staged. And then and you go back on. We do that for 3 days on, 1 day off, constant. And so you're also doing working parties and drilling on React. So there was
games,
no sleep, right? Like maybe 8 hours, but then every time there's a drill, you're getting up as backup. You have to wake up to. So the first 2-3 months that we were there, it was ridiculous, like legit no sleep, because we're building posts. So filling sandbags, digging mortar pits,
and those sandbags, man. I'll tell you what, they fill up and they get heavy quick.
They do get heavy quick. It gets old quick.
Yeah.
So, but that was that. It was a good.
It's a long time ago, though, right? What years?
That would have been from 96, probably October 96, I think is when I got there.
Okay.
Until, so 9 months later, then would that be like July timeframe? I think I came back.
Okay.
So June, July.
So you didn't have all that high speed, HESCO barrier type.
No, none of that
assistance that I had.
No, none of that. It was sandbags. It was jersey barriers.
Legit.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was a good experience, and nothing. The challenge of force protection is that the more boring it is, the more successful you are.
True.
Right. If you're doing a great job, it sucks.
True.
And you're bored out of your mind trying to stay asleep or trying to keep from falling asleep.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest dangers, right? I mean, on the news, you might see, or civilians might see, something happening across a whole country. But for a local area, it might be once a week or less.
Sure.
And then the real battle is staying awake and staying on, staying ready to go for the 99 other % of the time.
Absolutely. Remaining vigilant, right?
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. Easier said than done. I mean, coffee goes so far. I mean, Red Bull probably saved my life a couple times, honestly, keeping me awake. But yeah, it's the boring side of it that I don't think everyone gets, the hurry up and wait. That hurry up and wait in training is pretty realistic, Well,
it's 99% boredom and like 0.1% absolute. Granted, right? I got out in 99, so I'm pretty current conflict, right? But everybody that I've talked to, I worked when we get into it post military. I worked for the DoD for
we'll get
about 9 years afterwards, and it was everybody I talked to that had been in something legit is like it sucks, and then it's just mayhem. Right. And it may not even be for very long, but the coming down then off of that and the recovery and trying to get back into it is the challenge. So, so leave Bahrain and go to Quantico, Virginia at the basic school, just kind of, infantry school
TBS,
for officers.
Right? Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. So I was there as an enlisted instructor. I finished out my tour there and then separated from the Marine Corps. So,
training future officers. Okay. Question for you then. Sure. What's the funniest experience or the funniest thing that happened to you in the Marine Corps or that you observed?
Funniest thing that happened to me in the Marine Corps outside of boot camp, because boot camp is just kind of ridiculous.
Well, you can do both. So boot camp stories are.
All right. So my favorite boot camp is horrible. And I hope I can't remember the guy's name. And even if I could, I probably wouldn't release it, but.
And this is old Corps.
Yeah.
So this is before my time.
This is drop day. All right. So everybody knows drop day, right? You get there, you get on the yellow footprints. You go through processing. You're with your little 3 or 4 days, depends if you're a lead company or a follow company, right? You're there, and it's kind of low stress. It's stressful compared to home, but it's low stress compared to what you expected it to be. And then there's drop day. You go sit down in your squad bay. Your drill instructors come out. Your company commander introduces them. Yeah. And then the way it went down when I was there was company commander turns to the senior drill instructor and says, "Senior drill instructor, take charge of your troops, right? Or your recruits, probably, right?" And then he's like, "Aye, sir." Right. And as soon as the captain walks out and that door shuts, it's like mayhem.
Yes.
Right. And they're like, "Get online." Right. All that. And you turn around and the rest of the company's drill instructors are behind you. And you're like, you're getting on your laundry number, right? And you're there and they're like, "Show me 4 socks. Show me 4 socks." And you're dumping all your shit out. And you're trying to find it and everything's figuring out. And so you get through that.
The
mayhem.
Yeah. It's
you get
fun looking back, but back then it's like, what
it's high stress.
Is going on? Everyone's yelling at you. You don't know what the hell's going on.
Oh my God. This wasn't like it was yesterday. Right. Yeah. And so we get through that. And then you have your health and wellness inspection. Right. I don't know if they did this for you either, but it's company commander comes back, stand there naked, you got your towel, you hold it out, and you turn around and you say, this recruit is physically and mentally and emotionally healthy or something like that.
Emotionally ready for,
whatever it is. Like,
and did you have to hold your hands out and like turn around in a circle?
Yeah, you held your towel.
Yeah.
You stood there naked and you had to turn around in a circle. And which I found out was later on, after you do all those fucking sit-ups with you get I don't know if you got the raspberry on your tailbone from doing sit-ups.
Probably. I don't.
Yeah. It'd be memorable. It's like usually everybody had this bloody fucking sore on the bottom of their tailbone. And I think it's where the old camis there's a seam. There are two seams that joined, like your pocket seam. And so there's a big, thick seam right there.
I had new camis, so God bless the new camis.
There you go. That's Natick Mass.
So old camis would create this
everybody from
raspberry.
sit-ups. You get this nasty raspberry on right on the top of your ass crack, right? And and so that's why they did it, is to make sure nobody was getting like cellulitis in their ass. Right. So
and cellulitis. Well, we don't have to teach anyone because no civilians have gotten this far, hopefully. Turn it off. It's not for you. But yeah, the whole cellulitis thing, it was definitely the threat for everyone. Mm-hmm. For us, it wasn't so much the raspberries, but there were a couple guys in our group that
blisters, right?
Did like the athlete's foot thing, and it got up higher and higher and higher because they were using the same towel on their feet, and then they got up, on the bad areas, and so
that's not a good place to have it.
Bad day for those guys. And then like massive rashes and stuff. Mm-hmm. But okay, so health wellness inspection is where you're at.
Yeah, so I look over and you hear the drill instructors going like, "Oh my God, you are," and this guy recruit goes, "I'm not. You are not well. You are not well. You need to get in that daggone shower right now. Right?" They start going crazy, and the dude shit himself. Like, so when they did drop day,
so he's naked.
He's naked now because you have to just take off your stuff and stay in
front of the company commander.
And the company commander, he has shit all over his ass and down his legs from the shock of turning. And he didn't complete boot camp, and it was really kind of sad in reality, And it was, he was the guy who's always last. We were playing stupid fuck games because of him. But it's like the poor fucking kid from day one. If you shit yourself at drop day, like, they should pull you off the side and be like, "Are you sure this is really why you're weird,
here? Man?"
He just freaked out and shit himself. It was fight or flight, man.
Fight or flight. Yeah. But like, man.
Yeah. Crazy, right? And he, so later on talking to him, the poor kid, it was just his parents made him join because they didn't think he was tough enough. So like, of all the places you could send your kids, that's it. Child abuse 101. Do not send your child into the Marine Corps if they're not suited because they need to toughen up. Not a good step.
And 102 is don't tell them they can't join the Marine Corps because then they will.
I don't know. I don't think he would have. I think he literally was like, "You're going to go join the Marine Corps. What's the Marine Corps? You need it. You're weak." And it was just the poor kid. Couldn't shoot. I mean, it's just like classic.
The classic from the movies kind of thing, right?
For sure. Yeah. Just struggling, then finally got dropped. And
recycled probably? I mean, they don't give anyone
I think he refused to train ultimately. What do they call it? Your weapons training post rifle range, something. I can't remember. It's been a long time, like 20 years.
I got a lot of acronyms in my head. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But okay. So then that's an experience. Jeez.
It would have been when you guys probably went through the crucible, like when you're out doing that stuff.
Yeah.
During that time frame, I was pre-crucible. So it was during that he just stood up one day and refused to train, and then they demonstrated what happens when you do that.
Did you ever have anyone run away?
No. Did you?
Yeah.
Where did they go? There's swamps everywhere. Yeah. Were you East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Okay, swamps. Fuck that.
No. So, but there's one. So there's like one road into Paris Island, at least that I know of. I think there's only one, and that's the one the bus takes.
What is an island? So there probably is only one.
It is an island, and they're not going to build 9 bridges. So there's this one bridge into Paris Island, and I'm preaching the choir here, but whatever. And we're all putting our heads down, so you don't necessarily know the layout of the base. Some kids, maybe if their parents were military, I didn't. So even when Parents' Day came around, all that stuff, or time to graduate, I've like never seen the whole base. It wasn't until recently I did a triathlon on Paris Island. I got to see like the base because I'd never. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But so I'd never seen it. But yeah, there's this one road in and out. This guy, I don't remember his name or anything, I remember that he was gone. So in the morning, he's gone, and the drill instructor's like, "Shit! I lost one."
They're probably like tearing into fire watches, but they're also like, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!"
I think he had a fire watch or something, and that's how he turned it around. Oh, he had a fire watch. I think maybe he never opened to the next guy. I don't know, but somehow he got out and like hiked all the way to that bridge and was walking along, got around some guard post and was like walking the road out when someone go, "Oh, look, there's a young guy in camis
with
walking
no
on
hair
the side of the road."
And a funny and a funny tan on the back of his head.
Yeah, in a weird proximity to Paris Island where, and so the guy was like some gunny or something, picked him up, gave him a ride back to Paris Island.
Yeah, it was nice of him.
But you know what? He was on, I don't know, blue light watch. Did you have that? Anyways,
oh yeah,
suicidal Marines or the guys who are going to run away, you'd stay up all night with blue light on your, I don't know why we did that.
On your moonbeam.
On your moonbeam. Boot camp stories. So yeah, and I remember I had to stay up and watch this kid. And, I understand you got your own journey, but because you did that, now 2 other Marines, and we still had fire watch, like 2 Marines on fire watch, and now we had 2 other Marines on blue light watch on this kid to make sure he stayed in bed. And it's just like, man, now you just burdened 2 other people with that. But
same kid, the poor kid that had that, he was on blue watch as well. So I mean, some people are cut out for it. I mean, it's hard when, I don't know if you had the experience, but people are like, "Oh, you were in the Marines? Oh man, that must have been hard." And it's like, well, yeah, but or how was boot camp? It must have been hard, something like that. I'm like, well, I finished, right? So it
survived.
Yeah, it was challenging. It wasn't a good time, but it's not like insurmountable,
right?
So I don't think
it's not impossible. Yeah,
but I think when you go through, you can't. It's hard for you to turn around and look and say, really, there's what 150,000 active Marines roughly, and I believe that's the right number.
I wouldn't know these.
Don't
numbers.
fact check me.
Yeah, invisible producer, fact check us.
That's right. But so not everybody's doing it, right? And not everybody makes it. So you do have to. It's the few and the proud for a reason. So you have to acknowledge that, and I think it's easy to dismiss the challenge that it really was if you accomplished it.
I liked it. I don't know if that makes me weird, but it was like this pure experience where, I tell people like, hey, when else do you have a chance to, without your electronics, without all your obligations, sleep, eat, work out, and shoot guns?
There's something to it. I think
it was like a very pure experience.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, once again, hindsight,
get your ass kicked, but
I didn't appreciate what it was for what it was. I think all I was focused on, and might have been a byproduct of, I had a great recruiter, first of all. So I had a recruiter who didn't bullshit me about anything.
Great, meaning he lied better than everyone else? Or
no, he didn't lie. He's like even I was like, he was an infantry guy. The only reason he was a recruiter is because he blew out his Achilles in the field.
Damn.
So they were like, he had his path, we'll say, to go to be a drill instructor, blew out his Achilles. And they're like, "No, dude, your B-billet is now a recruiter." Right. Ooh. So, but he was like, "What do you want to do?" I scored well in the ASVAB and everything. And what's funny also is almost everybody I met that was in infantry, there was a few that weren't, but the vast majority did well on their ASVAB. Right.
Sure,
he's like, "Infantry? Why do you want to be infantry? You could be, this, or you could be that." Right.
Right.
And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yes, it's going to suck. It's horrible. It's going to be cold." So like, just not bullshitting, but embraced it and loved it. Yep. So, great dude. The guy who replaced him was fucking all of the other recruits' girlfriends. So like, you're legit stereotypical shitbag recruiter.
The guy that replaced him.
Yeah, replaced him.
Because, that sounds like an outstanding Marine right there. He probably got a page 11 and sent to cook school for being too honest.
Right. No, he did. Well, no, everybody loved him, right? So he hit his numbers, and he had good, we had good pulleys and everything. But so I wasn't. All he said is like, "You got to get through boot camp. You got to get through boot camp. You got to get." So I think when I went in, and if anybody listening is going in the Marines or has a siblings going to the Marines, like, focus on boot camp. It's important. It's a major challenge, but don't let them get so focused that when they finish, they're like, "Holy shit, I have, 3 years and 9 months more of other similar shit. Like make them understand that boot camp is the introduction to the culture, right? Like
it gets better.
Learn to embrace it. Learn to embrace the suck. Learn to enjoy the challenge. Yep. And this could take us down a whole other path.
Yeah, we got hours of tape here.
Right on.
We don't even have tape, so
But I think that it's a beautiful thing because I think culture as a whole. This may segue into the later on,
what we do now,
philosophies or whatever. But it's our society is too focused on easy.
Yes.
Making things easier, making things simpler. And the problem is that without challenge, there's no growth.
Yep.
Right. And without challenge, when you do succeed, there's no appreciation for it.
Right.
So I think if people going in can take that mentality to where they're saying, this is going to be tough. This may suck, blah, 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 all of that stuff. But at the end of it, I'm going to grow. I'm going to be a better person. And I'm going to appreciate what I did. Because if you're just focused on surviving and you're not focused on thriving and learning, then I think you miss out on a lot of the growth opportunity and a lot of the change that, the dynamic nature of what boot camp is supposed to be.
Yeah. Hindsight, you're right. It's 2020. I was probably trying to survive too. Mm-hmm. I guess it's all right. It just, I don't know.
I'm not saying volunteer for everything, right? No, I'm not saying make your life horrible. But what I'm saying is don't try to hide.
Sandbags.
Right? Whatever I can do just to hide. And I remember exactly. Yeah. One of the worst times I had is I remember I was slack-assing out. And we were doing mountain climbers. I wasn't counting or something. I can't remember what it was. And I was just mouthing the words. And I totally got nailed by one of my drill instructors. And he just fucking thrashed me.
Yes.
That's one story. My other death story from boot camp is not a big fan of running. Never was.
What?
Not then, never was. Could do it, could get through. I was a turtle, not a hare, not a snail, right? So
I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
Did you have the turtles? It was the hares, the turtles. I think the snails were the worst runners.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
And it was based on your run time, right? So I was like an 8-minute mile guy. So like a 24 PFT.
Yeah, it would not be a hare.
No, those were like your 18s, right? Your 100 PFTers. And so they're like road guards, right? For one of our runs when we were out in the field. And I was like, right here. Cause I know it was a company run. The company runs by, they get in the truck, right? So I'm like, sweet, I'm getting out. I'm not going to have to run. And, drill instructor, Sergeant Daniels, is a smart man and looked at me and was like, all right, Tagye. And he's like, gets me in and we start fucking running. Right. And instead of peeling off, I think they usually peel off from the back. He starts peeling off from the front, but I'm in the back of the line. Right. So we go through this whole thing. It's a 3-mile run. And he's like, they're going to catch us. They're going to catch us. Keep going. And he just has the road guards stay. They usually get picked up. And then when you're on your way back, you post more. You didn't post more. You just had those guys stay the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm hauling ass. And I'm literally, when I'm running, I'm like, I'm going to shit my pants. Like I have no muscle control anymore. I'm just moving. All I'm trying to do is just keep up and not fall out. That's all I'm trying to do is not fall out.
What was the threat if you fell out?
I would just get thrashed. I mean, we were front road guards, right? And I'm there and the drill instructor's like, hurry up. They're going to catch us. If they catch us, you're all fucking da-da-da-da, right? Whatever. Or frickin', right? Because I don't swear anymore. This is kind of gentler Marine Corps. Even then.
I'm pretty sure they swear.
Our drill instructors never swore. Frickin'.
Maybe they did.
Frickin' daggone.
Daggone.
Frickin'. Hey, nasty. Get your frickin' daggone nasty self over here.
You should
oh my God.
A daily practice to talk like a drill instructor.
Right.
Okay, so
I literally think I'm going to shit my pants.
You were running your ass off.
Running my ass off. And we finish, and he's like, congratulations, recruits. You all ran a sub 18-minute 3-mile. And I'm like, dying, right? Even after we're finished, like red face, I'm all puffy, and I can tell my eyes, like I'm all swollen.
Yeah.
And I went through in the winter, so it was cold too when we were running. Cold as cold as Paris Island can be. But
was that like 80?
I know, right? There was actually snow, so it was cold.
Okay, wait. Snow?
There was some like dusting of snow in the mornings. Yeah. So it was freezing cold, went through, and I remember he was like, how are you, Recruit Tagye? Like he full on knew I was trying to fucking skate out and nailed me, but it was good times.
Right on day one, they were like, who's gone to college? Who's gone to college? And I had, and so they're like, okay, good. You're the scribe. So I felt like for the first part, I was also one of the older guys there because, I decided probably in like my mid-20s, like, hey, that'd be a good idea. And I noticed that all the older guys got like medically dropped. So I started out being like the fourth oldest. By the time we graduated, I was like the oldest. And these guys were calling me like Smedley Butler, old man in the Marine Corps and stuff. And I was like 24 and they're calling me like old man. It's really weird. But I feel like they're I don't say taking it easy on me, but maybe they were working on the discipline guys first. But it wasn't until I think there's like 3 phases. Second, third phase. It's almost like they had a meeting and they were like, okay, cool, scribe, weak ass bitch. Like we're gonna work on him. And so I just remember like the heat got cranked up on me at a particular point and did not stop. And yeah, it was like it got real. But for me, one of the times is I got kidnapped by a drill instructor from another platoon, and who like drove me to his squad bay, and the whole squad's there. And he's like smoked me on the quarterdeck in front of that. They don't even know who this is. This is me. And I'm like getting like blown up, and there's no senior. There's no one that actually owns me to like call it
like save you.
No one to save me.
Yeah.
I was just, hey, you come here. I was just, like,
holy shit,
kidnapped. And then eventually I was returned to my squad. But yeah, to your earlier point, the struggle, is nothing like a good workout is the one you remember, or nothing like a good challenge, or that that hump that broke everyone. That can really bond people. So I think over some of the other branches, even when you have it really rough, you can like really bond with people.
Greg Glassman, who's the founder of CrossFit, which I'm sure plenty of people know what that is. He said equal parts misery and laughter build camaraderie. Right. So when you have that, and I think you see that amongst the recruits, right? Everybody's suffering, but everybody's also laughing about it later on. And there's jokes to be had,
Yeah.
And, that's that's the forge that you have to go through, right? To form the weapon on the back end. And, there's definitely something there. And I mean, even if you look at it now, like Spartan races, all this shit wouldn't exist if there wasn't something to make people proud of what they did, right? It sucks. It's difficult, but I can get through it. It's achievable. And now I'm kind of a badass because not everybody did it. And I just finished, so there's definitely something there. And I mean, even like kind of circling back, right? Society and our culture has gotten so easy. It is so easy, physically easy for everybody here listening, that you will spend your time, your most finite resource, and your money making your life physically challenging to be healthy. So just think about that. When you go to a gym, you're spending time and money. And oh, by the way, you earn money with your time, right? So doubling up on time just to make your life difficult enough so that you can be healthy.
Right.
So I think the physical challenge aspect of what you see now, what's becoming more popular now in society, is based on the fact that people realize at a subconscious, maybe primal level, that life is too fucking easy. You don't have to grow your food anymore.
Like, all of civilization, it was always about getting enough food.
It was survival, right?
Now there's too much food.
It's consumption.
Yeah. That's weird. But yeah, the struggle, and getting deep here in Cigars and Marine. That's what happens when you get into these my father cigars here, man. You just, the further we get on this thing, the more deep we get. But so, okay, you had some struggles. Okay, funny times outside of boot camp.
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I was trying to think of one.
Yeah. Or crazy time, hardest time. Things that stick out, memories.
So we had a Marine when I was at Quantico, whose name will not be mentioned, was busted for being an escort on his off time. He would get dressed in his dress blues and go out on like dates and so forth. And the challenge was that it wasn't always females.
Oh, okay. That's what because other than that, I was
thinking
anything
wrong with that. But when I was in,
but no, I was thinking, most Marines would hear that and go, "All right, get a little extra pay."
Well, that's what when we found out.
PFC pay is not so rich.
Yeah, when everybody found out, they're like, well, first of all, that dude, and then second of all, okay, and then we were like, well,
was he like a good-looking guy? I don't know if that's weird.
Kind of normal, just normal-looking dude.
Just normal dude, but he was that sounds like an entrepreneur right there.
I would say he was
enterprising young man.
Leveraging his,
so he got
situation.
busted, huh?
He got caught being an escort
by like cops out in the city. Call his first sergeant. Hey, you gotta.
I don't know how he got caught. I just knew he was in our squad, and we had to go. Me and I was kind of first team leader, and the squad leader had to go have a talk with him and bring him in. Yeah.
Is that like a page 11 thing or
that was he just kind of went away. So I don't even know the outcome of it, but I mean, he was soliciting being paid for it. It was, it's illegal.
How would you even do that? Like, I don't know if Craigslist was around back then.
No.
Yahoo message boards? I don't know, but okay. So that stood out for you.
AOL probably at that time.
AOL.
Seriously.
USMC 1999.
Absolutely. Right.
Oh man, time flies. Okay. So some crazy guys.
So that's probably the craziest thing. I mean, other than that, I mean, I was, there were some funny stories with lieutenants, nothing, like crack up hysterical or anything like that, where we'd be out and they would be in their, they were in just the basic school itself. They had a 1 week war, and then the IOC officers had a 2 week war.
Okay.
And,
you were training officers.
And I remember at one point, what we would do is if we would infiltrate their lines when they're on the defense, if we killed them, we'd take their bars from their collars. Oh. That's how you knew who was killed, right? They had no rank. And we snuck in one time, and it was shitty. It was rainy. It was near the end of their war, probably 70% of the way through, day 5. I can't remember if it was IOC or the just the basic school guys, and go up to a sleeping bag lieutenant, and the dude doesn't even do anything. He just puts his hand out. It was all snug down on him. Puts his hand out with his fucking rank and just goes right back to sleep. No shit's given. And
here's my rank.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm gonna get some.
I don't care.
Now, what happens if you fail that evolution or whatnot?
Well, I don't think they really fail, because usually those guys
you get a down for that one.
Sure. Well, they rank each other too. That was the thing that's crazy. So,
cool.
And I don't know if it still goes this way, but the way the basic school went was you were there was ranking, you had tests and things like that, and the officer instructors ranked you, but they also had class ranking based on how much and it got
peer review.
It got brutal, right? If you didn't go to somebody's cookout, then maybe they said you weren't a good team player and stuff like that.
Shit.
Oh yeah, legit
politics, baby.
But then they took the whole ranking, they broke them into 3 sections, right? And the way you chose your MOS is if you were first in the first group, went first. The second person to go was the first person in the second group. The third person was the first person in the third group. Oh. So there are people that would be like, maybe I bombed this test and it drops me from the bottom of the first group into the top of the second group.
Man, that's some crafty. That's almost
I don't want to be
infantry,
for me. Right? Or I don't want to be aviation supply, or I don't want to be whatever the MOS that they were trying to dodge. So you always knew there's a lot of gamesmanship there. And then you always knew the guys who had flight contracts, because whenever they were in the field, they wore racquetball goggles. Because if they scratch you, get an eye injury, that fast mover contract is gone, brother. So you can always tell the pilots, they just said they were always buttoned up tight, nothing's going to hit them in the eye, nothing's going to mess up their game.
Yeah, you go from a guaranteed flight slot to
infantry
logistics. No, worse, right? Supply.
Yeah. Well, imagine if you had a flight contract and you ended up aviation supply. Right? That's just got to be the most mentally, right? You're around your goal. You're around all the cool guys you wanted to be. And then you're handing them fucking a new pair of skivvies, or here's a new flight suit because you have so many hours in a fucking, Hornet. Sorry.
That would be bad. I'm sure it's happened.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm sure it's happened. Okay. So, man, it reminds me of those videos you see of the Ranger School documentaries where the guy's laying down and the drill instructor steals his rifle. And he's like, so what's up? He's like, I wasn't sleeping, Staff Sergeant. He's like, well, yeah, where's your rifle at? He's like, it's over here.
Yeah.
Sleeping on duty.
Absolutely. We had same thing. You got kidnapped. We had guys try to steal our rifles, and did you have shelter halves?
Shelter halves. What's that?
A shelter half is a 2-man tent. Each person carries 1 half and a 3-section pole. It's made out of canvas.
No. We had legit tents.
They get snapped together, and you dig a trench, and you have to fill it. So that was our tents that we were in. And you can't touch them if it's raining. If you touch it, it starts leaking because it's just the canvas swells and becomes waterproof.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh wow. That's legit, man. Man, you're old school.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Pre-Marpat, right? There's none of that.
Oh yeah, none of that high speed
woodland.
Stuff. Yeah.
So we were out, and somebody tried to grab my bunkmate's rifle when we were out in the field, and it woke him up, and he pulled it back, and we just started punching at whatever this body was on the other side of the shelter half, right? Just pummeling it, kicking and stuff like that, grabbing his arm, punching his arm, hitting it. And the next day we're out in formation, and the platoon next to us, you have your rival platoon.
Yeah.
And I was 2068. It was 2069 was our rival platoon. And you just see one of the drill instructors just fucking eyeballing everybody, like, which one was it? Which one of you assholes was like kicking the shit out of me and not letting me have my hand back?
Taking a free shot through that canvas.
Absolutely, man.
Sorry, I thought it was the bad guy. Didn't realize it was the
Hey,
senior.
man, I'm just protecting my rifle, my bunkmate.
Yeah, that's it, man. Did you name your rifles?
No. Mm-mm.
That was one of those things. Like, hey, give it a name. It always gets you in trouble because what do you name it?
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Supposed to name it after like ex-girlfriends, current girlfriends, wives, lovers. May they never meet. Master Commander.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Cool. This sounds like good stuff. Good. So you said security forces? Or?
Security forces. Yeah.
So does that mean you were
not MSG?
Were you like the gate guard then at that point?
Yeah. So it's force protection. So
force protection. Right.
External security. I was a DM when I was in I didn't go to DM school. The group that came in after us, designated marksman. So it's kind of like, if you ask a DM what DM school is like, they will say it's urban sniping, but which is a pretty sexy name. But it's much more marksmanship and counter observation, and primarily for urban environments. Although I'm sure there's some DM activities in woodland environments as well. But I was an expert shooter, so before we had DMs that went through DM school, I got put in that position. And then when the next group, Wave of Marines, came into Bahrain, we had some guys that went through DM school too, and they were awesome because they were giving us training on, if you're shooting, from an elevated position, you shoot lower than you would normally would. You aim at like the knees.
Oh, really?
How high you are. Yeah, because the arc of the bullet, right?
Oh, the arc. Yeah.
If you're aiming down, it's going to arc and hit higher. So simple, just kind of simple things like that, and gauging wind, and and all that kind of like advanced marksmanship type stuff.
Right, because you're never going to have that straight on shot like at boot camp, 300 yards straight on.
No, I mean, I was on a roof,
down.
So
roof,
of like a 10-story building.
Yeah.
So everything that we did was elevated, or at least that I did. So it was a pretty cool gig. But you were talking about Red Bulls keeping you alive, keeping you from falling asleep.
What did you have?
We just pound water. So that was we got, the big bottles of water that you guys probably got to when you were in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Before, I don't know if you guys had like water treatment plants or something like that.
Ours were like Nestle.
But like the big bottles, right?
I think, we had little bottles.
Whatever. When we were over there, they gave us,
Big
instead
bottles.
of having our canteens or whatever, they just would have a cooler at because it's an established post.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So on the roof, there's a cooler, and it was just filled with water bottles because Bahrain gets fucking hot, and it's humid. It's an island, so it's like 80% humidity.
Okay.
And you would. So I was you guys had the IOTV vest, right? You had the more advanced.
Your recall of those abbreviations is outstanding.
Well, there's a reason.
Outstanding. Yeah, we're gonna get to that reason, right? Absolutely.
But so I had the old flak jacket, right? Closes in front and a flap over. And you would sweat.
Was this it was kind of like a woodland?
Yes.
Old school. Yeah. Some of us still had that too, until we got the tan ones.
Yeah. So that's what, not over the head, none of that stuff. No quick release, none of that fun stuff.
Spartan ones.
Nothing.
Yeah.
This is old
school. Yeah.
And on a 4-hour shift, you would sweat through it. Like, so the outside of it, not from dripping, but it would penetrate through. There's like 28 layers of Kevlar in that. So you're sweating through all of that in 4 hours. And all you would do to stay awake is you would just pound fucking water until you had to piss. And then you would wait as long as you possibly could, because having to piss is what would keep you awake.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, good old trusty water.
Yeah.
For us, we were driving around in Humvees, and we had a cooler in the Humvee, and we'd for sure have water in there. But we'd also, people got creative. You got to improvise, right? Improvise, adapt. And so we have a cooler. We could put more things so guys would go to the exchange or whatnot, get those little Starbucks cappuccino cans and little Red Bulls. I wasn't even a Red Bull guy.
It's a whole different military when you get Starbucks in the combat zone.
Yeah, but they were it was milk. So I didn't usually get those because it was milk and a hot. But the Red Bull, man, I just remember this. But I would always sip it because it's just so powerful.
Yeah. What's that? Isn't there Rip It? Wasn't that the
Rip It?
The military, and that wasn't made by the military, but it was carried on post a lot. I heard a lot of guys talking about I've heard some pretty funny Rip It jokes as well, where guys would race to see if they could drink like 5 Rippets in a row, and like shotgunning Rippets.
Jeez, no. By the time I was in, it's Robitussin.
Really?
Yeah, but not on duty.
No, these guys. There's one of my buddies had a great story, but he, like literally, they were on React, and guy met. I wouldn't say tight buddy, but a guy I met, and he was telling the story about. They were on React, and they thought they were going to get stood down. And so they're like, all right, you guys are good. Nothing, nobody's going out or whatever. and so they decided to fucking race shotgunning these Rippets. And, then they call him back up, of course, after he finishes like his 3rd one. And he's like, I'm going to explosively shit my pants because of these things. And so they go, I can't remember what the situation was, but all I know is he was like had to like, when the area was secure, like shuffle off to the side and just shit his brains out. And one of the senior guys comes over and was like, what the fuck is that smell? He's like, I don't know, sir. I don't know.
No impact, no idea.
He's like, hiding behind the Humvee, just like shitting massive explosive diarrhea.
Caffeine. It taketh and it giveth, and all those things.
It's a whole different, I'm sure, right? It's a whole different mentality. It's a whole different culture, acceptability, that the tomfoolery that exists, at least from what I've heard, is far different, and even where we were, where it wasn't active combat, it was just, there was high threat level, threat condition, Charlie the whole time while we were in Bahrain. Yeah. And so, but it's just like, you gotta blow off stress some way or another, and it's usually through tomfoolery, hijinks. And
it's the humor that, and it's humor that no one really understands if they're not in, not in the Marines, for sure. That's why this show is Cigars with Marines. I mean, you could just make it like Cigars with Veterans or something, but there's something about Marines and that humor and like shooting the shit together, and you make fun of everybody. And in fact, if you didn't like someone, you didn't make fun of them.
Yeah, they don't matter.
You didn't even talk to them.
They don't matter.
But if you like someone, you're making fun of them constantly. It's not saying you knew someone liked you. They're like, oh yeah, that Cheshire guy, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's plenty. I had plenty of targets. Plenty of things to make fun of each other. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like that dark.
It's gallows humor.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, that's the word. Gallows humor.
Yeah, and it's you see it, and it even carries over. So one of my best friends is a Marine as well, and he's engaged my sister, like he's family practically. Godparent to my kids, and we were cleaning out my parents' house, and just finding like some ridiculousness, right? And we were joking about it. Like we found an old starfish tuna fish packet that was like swollen, and we're like, eat it. And just because like the
you guys like process, you're like, I'll give you $5 if you eat that.
Exactly, right?
He's like, nah, 10. There's always somebody in the group that would eat it for 10.
Oh fuck that! They're crazy.
Yeah,
and the thing is, maybe the first dude, but the second person who eats it is one you really need to worry about.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But he, so we were joking about. My sister got upset. She's like, "You guys are making fun of mom and dad and stuff like that." She didn't say it. That's what she was alluding to. Her frustration with us, and so we ended up he ended up talking to her later on, like, no, you don't understand. Like this is a processing technique that kind of you get in the military when you're sitting outside and it's pouring rain and you're laying in a fucking ambush in training and it sucks and you're going to be there for like 5 hours and you can't move. Like you have to find humor. It's either laugh or cry. Right. And it's just the mentality that gets built and developed.
And the worse the situation, the worse the humor.
Yes.
That rainy situation, that's where NC-17, rated X movie, the worst stuff you could, stuff that, and you got to understand it when you get out, you got to have some contact with the Marines because that humor people don't understand that.
Out of context, it's horrible.
Out of context, man.
Is my cigar killing you?
No, it's mine.
Oh, I'm trying to keep it over here.
I'm burping and stuff. It's all good. It's character building, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
So cool. So that was in.
That was in. So yeah. So it's time to get out. What'd you do?
So when I was separating, a buddy of mine got out a little bit before me, and he was contracted.
How long were you in?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yep. So he was contracted to an organization called Marine Corps Systems Command, and it's a Marine Corps acquisition group. So it's the guys that buy the new stuff that everybody rocks, everybody's wearing, comes from this
acquisition of the cool shit.
Exactly. Right. And there was individual equipment, not jets, not, weapons.
Right.
Individual equipment guys. And
try this F-16 for you. No,
that'd be cool.
Cool gear.
Right?
That's cool.
So it was when the first version of the Molly system was being issued. So you probably had Ilby, was your backpack load bearing system.
Yeah, but I think was Molly the metal frame one?
No, that's Alice.
That's Alice. So what was Molly?
So Molly was after Alice, before Ilby, and it was a external frame, and it had this thing called a probe and socket. So at the bottom of the frame, there's a plastic probe that would click into a socket in the waistband of your 782 gear. 782 gear. So like you put on your body armor at this time. You put on your body armor. You put on your webbing gear, right? Your load bearing vest, and then in the back of that, there was a heavy duty like backpack waist belt bit in.
Sure.
And then there was a socket that you would plug your rucksack into. Now imagine the loads that you carry trying to get this thing to snap in. And you had to rock it back and it clicked in and then you pull it forward. And so it transferred the weight from your shoulders to your waist. Fantastic idea.
Was it? Sounds complicated.
Well, it was. They were trying to figure out how do you actually put the load on the hips was the goal, right?
Yeah.
But you have all this other shit that you have to work. Yeah. So how do you make it work? And it was a really good concept. Worked when you got it in, it worked, but like in the field and in the shit, it just didn't work. That's why the hurry came out.
Sure. You're like trying to you gotta go. And
well, you got to practice too, right? I mean, like you have to hit the target, man. And
you got to practice your backpack, man.
Legit. So my job was I got out and I was a new equipment trainer for the Marine Corps. So for a year, I just traveled around to Marine Corps bases when this was getting issued, and I taught Marines how to wear backpacks, right?
Well, this sounds like a cool job. So, and you got that because we're talking to, people as they're getting out can be listening to this and, or they gotten out already and they're thinking about like, what next, maybe you got some disability pay, maybe. So how did you get connected with this? You had a buddy
Well, I had a buddy who when I was in near the end, we were a test group for that pack. Oh. And so he connected with the civilians that were running the tests and said like, hey, how are you going to make sure Marines know how to use this?
Yeah.
Is there something I can do? This looks cool. I want to help the Marine Corps buy new gear. And so he got out, he did it for a couple months and they realized they needed another trainer. So he brought me on board. And so I was a government contractor. I had started my own little business and,
wait. Step it back here. You create your own like LLC and stuff, your own biz?
Yeah. It was just
you're like a consultant.
A DBA,
you're
right?
A consultant for them?
Well, I was kind of. They needed to bring me on board, but there was a government hiring freeze, so they couldn't bring me on as a GS.
Right.
So I had to form a DBA, and they just did a contract with me to be a new equipment trainer.
Sweet. Did you get help setting that thing up, or
no?
How did you set that up? Just fill out some paperwork? You don't even remember?
Google. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah, I did an LLC a while ago. You just like for New Hampshire. I just went to the business department for New Hampshire. There's 2 forms. I filled them out, and they're like, "Hey, congratulations, you got an LLC."
Yeah, it was basically the same thing. I was in Virginia at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And I think they gave me a little guidance, and so forth. And they're like, "What's your company name going to be?" and all this good stuff. And to give you an idea of how like just clueless I was at the time, they're like, "What's your name?" and I'm like, "KG Incorporated," my last name. And they're like, "Oh, you're incorporated?" and I'm like, "Well, no, it's just the name." Because I had no idea, right? I didn't know what incorporated meant.
I got 20 employees.
That's right? I'm like, I'm the CEO. How many other employees are there?
Get None. A GSA contract or whatever for $1 million. Okay, so you formed this consulting effort, and you were working with a government contractor to test gear.
Yeah. So, to train gear, not to test.
Oh, to train.
To train. I was a new equipment
it's already
trainer.
coming out. So you're helping train other Marines how to use it.
Yep, as it's being issued. So I do that for about a year. Contract is coming up on expiration.
It sounds like for Molly, you needed to train.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And then the group that I was contracted, so I was working in Quantico at Marine Syscom and Marine Corps Systems Command, but I was contracted to Natick Labs, which is in Natick, Mass.
Oh, cool.
So Natick Labs, for people that don't know, all of your MREs are developed there, all of your new equipment, unless you're in the Air Force. But even the Air Force has ties there. Yeah. Uniforms, backpacks, body armor, all that stuff, helmets, everything is developed in Natick, Mass. So I was that's where who held my contract, but I was basically working out of Quantico. So at the end of that year, they said, "Hey, we're going to bring you on as a government employee. And I came up there and my title was an equipment specialist was my title. And so I started working for the government, and I ended up staying there and kind of moving through the GS ranks.
How'd you get that? Jobs. They liked your work as a contractor?
Yeah, they just thought I did a good job, and they wanted to bring me on as a project.
Was there any politics involved? Like, what kind of advice had, for people?
Well, you got to go to, if you're looking for a government job, you have to constantly be scouring fpo.gov, I believe it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's or just Google government jobs, right?
Government
it's going to take you to, I'm pretty sure it's FPO. But it's federal procurement, maybe it's federal, I don't know. But
Google government jobs, yeah.
FedOps, I don't know. There's so many different federal, because I'm in the acquisition field too, and there's all these different acquisition where contracts are posted, pages and everything. But go on and just look. You can search, and there's tons of jobs out there. If you're looking to get into the government, the government space and still work there. And the beauty of doing that, if you're separating or if you have separated, and you miss being with the guys, right? I think everybody that I've met that's gotten out, there's a bit of yearning, like, why did I get out? I had a counter intel package in that I was accepted to go to counter intel school, and I pulled it and got out. And there's a lot of reasons, but
you kind of just like, fuck this shit?
No, I think and
no judgment, right? We all got out at some point. Yeah, we're going to.
No judgment. There's nothing that it was. I'm just trying to. I got to own it, right? Because it was my decision. Yeah. But what happened when I was stationed at Quantico? When I first got there, Marines left the School of Infantry where they were stationed there, right?
Yeah.
Well, what they found is that they wanted guys that had more experience to come in to train the officers instead of just being like op force.
Yeah.
Right. So they wanted a little bit more hands-on instruction. So what they started doing is it kind of became this place that they would station guys that were like on their way out. Like if they were not going to re-enlist, they'd kind of rotate them back over there. Right. Okay. So there's a little bit of I'm getting out of the suck. I hate it. Why do we have to PT? I'm getting out in 6 months. Why do I have to go on this hike? So there was a bit of, that was just kind of the mentality that was there. It could be completely different now,
Well, no, it happens. If you've had a little too much and you haven't had a break, you start being like, well, fuck this, and I there's two paths, right? There's the people that are like, I'm going to go become the next rank. And other people are just like, oh, because that's a little bit what I got too. It's just like, I've kind of had my fill.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And hindsight, right, is always 20/20. You can always be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But maybe I did hate it, Yeah. And I think the other piece is.
We hate it and you love it.
Exactly.
And sometimes you hate it more than you love it. Sometimes you love it more than you hate it.
Exactly.
Most of the time you hate it more than you love it, but.
Exactly. But when you're looking back, right, I'm always looking back and saying, oh man, if I would have gone counter intel, I would have gotten on a HEP team, which is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's a human exploitation team.
Those guys were cool. Man.
Well, we worked with them in Bahrain, right? And I'm like, those guys are fucking studs. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And so
you can tell if you're lying by your pulse out of your nose or something.
Yeah, they're ninjas, right? Ninjas. And they do a pretty cool job. And even they told us, they're like, if you see us, don't talk to us. They had relaxed grooming standards. Before
if you see us, don't talk to us.
Yeah, like out in town, they're like, don't talk to us. Don't even acknowledge us. Because they were Canadians, right? And they would go out there, and when bad guys are caught doing bad stuff, they were called in, or they helped find bad guys that are doing bad stuff. And so I'm like, that's what I want to do. Now, the thing is, you do that on counter intel, or I could be sweeping for bugs in the Pentagon, right? Now, imagine being a corporal in the Pentagon. Like, brutal, right? Because majors get coffee in the Pentagon. So if you're a corporal, you don't even rank to get coffee at that point, right? So
it's like the janitor.
Exactly, right? And so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck, what if I go and I end up sweeping for bugs? Like, that's not what I want to do. Now, once again, hindsight being 20/20, if I got trained on like digital espionage, I probably could make a lot of money now.
Yeah.
So those shitty jobs
and all that
might be pretty cool. You might want to take them, because in the future, you never know where they're going to go.
Never know.
But yeah, so I saw that, and I had a girlfriend, and at that time, the HET teams, they were super low on manpower. So they literally would get off pump and go on to the next deploying, like the next ships that were leaving, they were on them. And
yeah.
And so I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do that. I have this girlfriend. What if it turns into something? Blah 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 blah. All this stupid shit, right?
Life.
Exactly. And so I chose not to do it. I got out and I got this contract job, and my life is totally cool. I have no regrets.
No regrets.
No.
See that guy with a tattoo? It's a classic internet meme. He's he's got this tattoo across his chest. It says no regrets. The word is regret, but they spelled it regret. So
he has bad friends and a bad tattoo artist.
Yeah, or just a good night of drinking. No regret. Hey guys, no regrets.
Still, you would hope the tattoo artist would be like, that's misspelled right.
You know that's wrong, right?
Yeah. So
it's okay. So like you made the call. Hey, it's what you could go one way, go the other. I mean, this happens in life all the time, right? You got to pick your path. But
Sure.
Did you have something lined up when you got out?
Well, that was I rotated right into that role.
Okay, cool.
Being the new equipment trainer, and then going on becoming a GS, and following that path. And so I did that for just about 10 years.
A government employee.
Yep.
10 years. How does that work? Because there's retirement for those guys too, and you have like a GS ranking, just like in the ranks, you have a GS rating or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a GS 12 when I transitioned out. I started out as a GS 7 or 9, I can't remember, and just through promotion and whatnot. But then
10 years.
Yeah, job description came around.
You don't look like you got enough 10 years here and there to.
That was 9 years ago.
Wow.
So old school. Velcro USA, everybody knows it, loves it, knows what it sounds like, was looking for somebody to manage their government business. And I replied, and I ended up leaving at that point. And I went and I worked at Velcro, managed their government business.
How did you find out about that?
Someone at Velcro sent the job description to a coworker at Natick.
Got it.
And he said like, hey dude, what do you think about this?
Right.
So I applied, and at that time I had, on the table I had, it's interesting how life works, right? Because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had something cool on the table to go do some cool shit, right? Yeah. Go do, counter intel, and I chose to get out. And then when I was at Natick, I had an opportunity to go to Afghanistan. This would have been 2010, go to Afghanistan. They were trying to help the Afghanis set up their own uniform production capability. So make sewing, cut and sew factories. And so I was going to be sent to Afghanistan for 6 months to help them establish their cut and sew textile industry. And I was selected. I was one of the people going, and I was going through this interview process. And at the end of it, I just basically said, listen, I need to know today or tomorrow if you're a go for me, because I'm either coming to Manchester, New Hampshire, or I'm going to Afghanistan.
Right.
And so they gave me the offer, and I took the offer and transitioned.
And you never know, because Afghanistan at that particular time, it could have been really cool or it could have been really shitty, but that's cool. So you went and you joined Velcro. So they're in Manchester?
Nobody knew that. Yeah. Velcro's
New Hampshire, baby.
Global headquarters was in Manchester, New Hampshire. They had an office in Boston.
Are they still in Manchester?
Yeah, still in Manchester. Velcro USA.
Global headquarters?
Well, they had, I left a couple of years ago, but they had an office in Boston, and they just moved it.
Shout out to Velcro.
Exactly. And they just moved it back to, they closed that Boston office and moved everything back. So I think everything is now back in Manchester.
Damn.
Yeah, nobody knows. Massive. They're two manufacturing facilities in New Hampshire. So if you are looking to get into production, something like that, there's good opportunities with Velcro. They're growing. It's a good company. It's family owned. Yeah, so, I mean, shout out to, if you don't want to deal with Q1 results and hitting, target, share prices and stuff like that. Yeah. Family, privately owned companies aren't a bad way to go. There's a lot more, long-term mentalities, I think, when you get into those.
Is Velcro,
not that I know.
Is that a private company?
Privately owned. Yeah.
Damn. Daddy Velcro is like.
It's a family.
Raking in the bucks, man. Yeah. Velcro's everywhere.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
Damn. But you know what? There's like no Velcro in the Marine Corps.
No, there's not.
It's like
there's
anti-Velcro.
A lot in the Army, though.
Oh, there is a lot in the Army. Stick it. Hey, where's your American flag? Stick it,
Exactly. Yeah. So there's in body armor, right? So think about how your body armor is held together.
Yeah.
It's all held together with hook and loop. So
it's true. Yeah. I just remember ripping open the body armor and Velcro. Yeah. If you're trying to hide, it's probably not a good thing to have. But okay, so you joined Velcro. What were you doing for Velcro?
Just managing their military business and trying to help their military and government business grow. So I was there for a few years. Then my responsibilities kind of expanded from just the U.S. to the Americas region as a whole.
Yeah.
And then from there on to kind of some, it's called the industrial business unit. So it was kind of everything that wasn't medical, personal care, or automotive, kind of fell into, or actually construction rolled into it at one point as well. So I did that for 7 years and enjoyed it, and then recently transitioned.
Well, before we do that,
Yep.
because I know this last one is freaking awesome. But Velcro, so you were like the guy from the military that could speak military, but you could also somehow you learn civvy speak, and you could kind of you're like the translator. You're like the, they're like, let's tell the military that they can have flowers. And you're like, they probably don't want flowers. They want,
Sure, yeah,
guns and ammo and bombs and stuff.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of translating in that direction, but there was also a lot of translating from having the military government experience and going into industry and going into business.
Oh, cool.
And, they say things like market research. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we did market research with the government. We'd go find out who makes what, kind of things, but it wasn't to the same extent, So there was actually a lot of knowledge that had to be gained on that side, for me to get up to speed and be comfortable in the business world. And, another shout out to Velcro is they put me I had the opportunity to pursue and get my MBA. And so I went to Northeastern and got my MBA while I was there. So
they hooked you up.
Yeah. I definitely was very well taken care of.
Yeah, shout out Velcro.
Yeah. And they, I had a lot of other cool opportunities. Like I initiated Velcro USA's corporate social responsibility program. And, it was cool. So if you're in New Hampshire, do you have kids?
Yep.
Are they in school?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you seen,
like second?
Did you just get the card, the Fisher Cats reading challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of our first things. We set up a partnership with them. And the way we looked at it is, and I'm a firm believer in corporate social responsibility, right? I think that it's cool when companies can build their community.
And what is that for, people?
Oh, what does it mean? So it's when a company wants to invest in their community or their philanthropic activities, whatever it's going to be, right? And the way we looked at it was we looked at the history of the company. So Velcro was invented by an engineer who was walking his dog, and they got cockleburrs stuck all over their dog and their pant legs.
Okay.
And he looked at it under a microscope, and he was like, I bet I can do something with this. And so he invented a closure that had a hook like a cocklebur has,
Smart
and
man.
a loop that it clicks into. Right?
That's $1 million dog, $1 billion dog right there.
For sure, right?
Feed that guy some wet food.
You're getting wet food tonight. It's so
filet.
So we looked at it and we said, education is key, and we want to help kids with education. So that everything that we did tied to that core premise,
That's
right?
cool.
And so depending on what your company is, like you look at Tom's Shoes, you buy a pair of shoes and they give it to a needy, buy a pair, give a pair, right? It goes to a needy community.
Cool company.
Yeah, so we started that up. We ended up doing the Fisher Cats partnership. We replicated it in Toronto with one of their minor league hockey teams. We did a bunch of just kind of other small stuff, like gave stuff away, set up, some schools ended up getting set up. And then it kind of grew from there, the success into a more of a corporate instead of just a regional USA-based piece. And even to the point that the corporate and the ownership connected with this organization called the Cambodian Children's Fund, and it's ccf.org. And if anybody's bored and wants to see like some amazing shit, just this dude, Scott Neeson, who started it, went and visited Cambodia. He was in Phnom Penh. He saw these kids that were living on garbage dumps, like legit
sucks.
Living, not just hanging out. Like that's where their house was. They put a tarp over 4 broken broomsticks and live on there, and their family was sick and they were all like living horrible lives.
Yeah.
And he started this big organization. And so we started a partnership with them, started sponsoring them, doing some other stuff. And it even got to when I left, they had opened, they call it the Cripps Nissan Academy. And it's a major school, like one of the most advanced technological schools in Phnom Penh. Was sponsored by Velcro with CCF to help these underprivileged communities. And it's not just like they had a program where they were like, all right, we want these kids to go to school.
Yeah.
When the parents are like, well, they have to go fucking find garbage so that we can go sell it to get money.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, if your kids come to school, we'll give you a bag of rice. And then they were like,
Smart.
Then they got water you know, they have a water filtration system. It was if your kids come to school, they get a bag of rice, and we'll send a little trolley with a giant thing of water, and we'll give everybody fresh water every day. And then it became, we're going to open a clinic. So if you're sick, you can go, but only if your kid goes to school, right? Yeah. So it became this whole systemic, community function that addressed all of the challenge. I mean, look at Cambodia from the Khmer Rouge is a hot mess, right?
Yeah, man.
And
they had a rough.
And they're good now, right?
Yeah,
Politically, they're good, but there's still a lot of
poverty and all that.
Absolutely, and just like the secondary and tertiary effects of what happened there. Like everybody has PTSD from the fucked up shit they did and what happened.
Yeah.
And so it was just really cool to go over there and see a completely different concept and how like problem pops up and Scott Neeson's like whack-a-mole, like, and not just in a stupid way. It's, hey, you have bad living conditions. So we even walked through like some areas where people are living in these shanties. They're falling down. It's just fucking nasty. There's waste everywhere, like human and not human waste everywhere.
Yeah.
And and he's like, all right, well, we're going to partner with this other company and they're going to build houses. And if you have your kids do good in school, and if you're in the program where the moms get to go and sew and make shirts that CCF can then sell, and if they get into this other programs, then we'll move you into this house. And it's all for free. Like your kids just have to go to school. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable the change and the impact that he's had. And you can sponsor a kid, but they don't let you, like, none of the kids are like up for adoption. And if they're in a bad situation, they can come live. They have dormitories for the kids.
Good.
And it's amazing. When I was there, I met a girl.
Wait, you went to Cambodia?
Yeah. So I got to go visit.
Oh, shit.
And
what was that like?
It was amazing. It was culture shock, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I met this little girl, and she came up. We walked in. They're giving us like flowers, like little, almost like Lays that they made.
Cool.
And this little girl kind of comes up, and she's like kind of skittish at first. And then she comes over and she's like hanging around with us. And she starts holding my hand. We're walking through and seeing everything. And I'm like, "What's up with this girl? She's not like talking or anything like that." And she's like, "She was feral." So literally, a villager. Feral means wild, right? So this villager saw her walk out of the jungle when she was like, I don't know, she might have been like 5, but they're all malnourished, all these kids. So they're like, they look smaller than they really are. She didn't speak. She didn't know how to use a bathroom. She just like pees and poops on the floor, right? Just started keeping clothes on, right? Like completely like Tarzan, right?
That's like Tarzan stuff.
For sure, right? So this girl came out and she was like, she had like she was scarred up, like she'd gotten something bad happen to her. And so she just, that's what they're taking, that's what they're saving, and they're bringing them in and sending them to school and giving them food and treating them for fucking scabies or whatever the fuck they have. And it was amazing. It's an amazing organization.
Smart of him too, because I think a lot of times, nonprofits, they have a good intention. Like, hey, I want to help out with X, Y, and Z, come into a place, I'm going to give everyone jackets or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then if they don't even have enough food to eat,
mm-hmm.
It's like, look, I'm going to sell my jacket so my family can eat this week. It's not even, so good on them. Scott, you said?
Scott Neeson is his name.
Scott Neeson. Good on Scott, because he was like, okay, you need the food. We'll tell you what, if your kid comes and works hard in school and doesn't get kicked out, we'll give him a bag of rice.
Yeah.
So now the parents aren't like, hey, skip that shit, come home, work, find some garbage for the family. It's like, you better go to school and you better learn.
Because we got to eat.
And that's what you want. You want the parents to reinforce the right message, and the water and then
everything, dude.
But
they have a free clinic.
Yeah.
So you can come and get medical treatment, dental treatment. They have prenatal care, something that they didn't have really as a whole.
Yeah.
Sponsored different schools, gave schools computers.
Sure.
Stuff like the local schools gave them computers so that kids could start going to the local school as well. And daycare so the parents could go and do real jobs instead of picking garbage.
Yep.
And the thing is like Scott Neeson, I believe, was the executive vice president of marketing for Braveheart. So
the movie?
Yeah. He was from the picture industry. He was like the president of Sony Pictures, like Europe or something like that. And was when he went to Cambodia, he was moving from like Sony to Universal or something like that. And in between, he was going on this kind of trip to go do yoga and Buddhism and stuff like that, and saw these kids, and that's what started it. And he said one of the best stories I've ever heard. This has nothing to do with Marines, but it's an amazing story. Is he was sitting in Phnom Penh at the Stewie Menchie dump, surrounded by these kids living on the dump, trying to figure out how to help them.
Yeah.
And his cell phone rings.
Okay.
And he picks it up, and it's a manager. And the manager's at an airport with a client, an actor, A-lister client. And the client won't get on the private plane because the right food wasn't on the plane, right? So it was catered, but it wasn't the right catered food. And he said he's on the phone with him. And he's like, we'll take care of it. I'm sorry. Can you just get on the plane? And trying to work it out. And the guy goes, listen, Scott, my life's not supposed to be that hard.
This is a celebrity?
Right. A celebrity. My life's not supposed to
Come on.
My life's not supposed to be this hard.
Come on, man.
He's standing in a dump surrounded by kids who are waiting for the bulldozers to come to turn it over so they can scramble like ants trying to pick garbage.
Not to get parasites.
Medical waste, like syringes and stuff like that.
Like, well, there's some good ones out there, but did he not get on the plane?
I don't know. Scott just said his takeaway from it was he knew at that point that he wasn't having a midlife crisis and that he really, he really wanted to go and do this. So, take away from this from if you're talking about a career and you're talking about transition, like silly things like people think about corporate social responsibility and all that, just some like liberal crap or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of good being done out there, and there's a lot of good that's good for business as well. You look at Tom's Shoes, right? Pretty successful. Warby Parker, pretty successful. And they're building it on a social platform.
Yeah. But even the business side, like I think sometimes what's really important is when you get out, what you really need is your next mission, and you need a mission that you can, and you got into the gear and the training, and you're able to stay involved, and that was cool. But for a lot of people, you think about nonprofits, think about impact, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Working with a group like this, you're not going to wonder if you're helping someone.
Yeah,
right?
There's purpose.
You have purpose. You have a strong purpose in the Marine Corps. You get out and you're like, what the fuck do I do?
Absolutely.
And a lot of people struggle with that because, maybe you don't have to work, maybe you do, but then you're like, what am I doing? I used to be on watch with, rounds and magazines and rifles and danger. And then you're out and you're like, I don't know, whatever you're doing, but it's okay as long as you can find a purpose. And this is cool, man. This social responsibility, but like you said, skip the politics, but if you can find a way to help people, it could be helping other veterans. It could be helping kids like this in this country, in that country.
Sure.
But that Scott will not have to, wonder when he goes to bed at night, is there a reason for me being here? Yeah, man, you're helping these kids. I mean, you can't even say life changing. That's not even enough. He is like changing the course of whole communities.
Country, right? I mean, if you think about the ripple effect,
he's just a guy.
It's just a dude. And he was a dude. He was a very wealthy dude, right? So he said, not that doesn't matter, right? The impact you can have doesn't matter. But the dude he sold his house in Hollywood, his yacht, all of his shit, and moved to fucking Cambodia.
Nah.
Yeah. Sold everything.
He sold all that. Man, that's like modern day St. Francis.
Pretty much, right? Stuff, to some degree, absolutely. So I think
you got tied into this? And how did you get tied in? And how did you get out to Cambodia?
The ownership of Velcro is Australian, and Scott Neeson is Australian. So he was like on some Australian, famous Australians TV show or something like that. Exactly, right?
Yeah,
and the owners were like, hey, this guy looks interesting. Let's talk to him. And then they knew what we had started with our CSR program,
right?
Working with kids, working with education. And they were like, hey, we want to do this at a corporate level.
Yeah.
Go from the USA region to the Velcro, unlimited corporate level. And we want to sponsor it there. So since I was the CSR guy in USA, I ended up being able to go over and learn more about it and see what they're doing and find out how we can help.
So how did Velcro help? Did they supply them with stuff?
Massive sponsorship every year. And then they co-sponsored, or I believe the primary sponsor. I don't know the financial details, and it's a privately held company, so I can't really share it.
That's right.
But
you don't need to know.
You don't need to know. All you know is that the academy that they built was Velcro sponsored. And so
cool.
The money that went into that there was a big chunk of it out. Once again, I don't know the details, but a major portion of it was all paid for by the company.
Sick, man.
I mean, it's a big school. It's like a university.
What was it like flying into Cambodia? I mean, what a cool assignment.
It was cool. Yeah.
Culture shock and
well,
there's some good areas too, or
like,
just is it a lot of this?
No, I mean, there's some good areas, some bad areas. I've been to, I mean, and I'm super generalizing, right? But whenever you get into that Pacific region, right, the terrain, the smell of the air.
Sure.
You know, when I was in Okinawa, Cambodia smelled like Okinawa. It smelled like, you know, it smells like Hawaii. You know, it's super humid. It's tropical. You have all the flowers. You have a bunch of people. You will never see as many people on scooters as I did in Phnom Penh. And they're like water. They just flow around the cars. And nobody gets hit, and it doesn't make sense.
Somehow it works.
But it's, you know, it's very similar there. But I think the real shock was, you know, we weren't going to the tourist areas. Like I had dinner one night in the touristy area. We were in the villages where there's just massive, massive poverty that you cannot in the United States, unless you grew up like in Appalachia or something like that. Like you can't comprehend living in a cobbled together structure that's on a dump that's falling over. And there was a carnival the day that we were there. That carnival came and like, dude, it looked like something out of Mad Max. And there's these kids riding these things and they're like barely held together, swinging like parallel to the ground, 10 feet in the air. They had a Ferris wheel that was powered by a guy jumping up on the back when it comes around, right? It goes up and it comes around.
Yeah.
I'll do it here. It goes up and it comes around. And when it came around, he would jump up and grab onto the back of the seats and pull it. So it was a human powered Ferris wheel.
Human-powered Ferris wheel.
Yes. And, so it's just, and that was the kids were stoked. The carnival's here. The carnival's here. Right. Yeah. And you're like, and I remember walking through and I'm like, somebody's going to die. It's like somebody's going to die.
Yeah. Like I don't even let my kids go on the carnival. It comes to Nashua. It's like kind of sketchy rides, but
for sure.
Not compared to the human-powered Ferris wheel. Damn. What'd that feel like? What'd that feel like to be a part of a mission like that where you're back in the suck, more so, but you were there and you're making a difference?
It at first awkward, right? Because you're coming from this, you know, like society and an environment of excess, right? And, you know, it was actually like the kids would run up and they pulled the hairs on my arm because none of them, they're all small, first of all, because they're malnourished, right? Not, you know, nobody grows if you don't eat, right? So they're malnourished, so they're smaller than you would think. These kids are like 10 and they look like they're like 6, right? And, but they would come up and they'd pull on my arm hairs. And I remember like 2 of the boys like grabbed hold of my arm and I'd like pick them up and press them overhead. Yeah. They're like, you know, you're like a He-Man or something.
Kettlebells.
You know? Exactly. Right. Like little kettlebell kids. And actually, if you look at my LinkedIn picture, I think it still is. It was a picture of me holding two the kids when I was there. And but then once you get over like the it's almost like, oh my God, how do I act with these people? Like I don't want them to think I'm looking down on them. I don't want to, you know, like how do I interact with them? And once you just kind of open yourself up and just be like caring, like loving, caring, and like, and show that they're important, you know, it was cool. It was great.
Jarhead Mother Teresa.
Exactly. Right. I mean, you'll never see it. It always strikes you amazing. Right? I mean, I have 3 kids. These kids were, I mean, horrible conditions, right? Horrible. I mean, the amount of, we didn't even get into like sexual abuse is rampant there. And it's rampant until the kids get to like 6 and they can tell or fight back. And then usually they try to kill them. Right. So it's not, it's completely common for these kids to get sexually abused and then somebody try to kill them. And so you think about what they came from, that feral girl, right? Like horrible. Yeah. And they're so happy. Right. They're so happy. They're full of smiles. They're giving us hugs, or they don't know, you know, they don't speak great English. They're like, oh, we love you. We love you. We love you. You know? And it's just at that point, it's like, holy shit, you see what's important, and you see the ramifications of, you know, focus and of belief and of passion and of chasing that. And it was awesome. It was an amazing, life-changing, perspective-building experience.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Cool.
So, I mean, and you know, half the reason we're doing this podcast is, you know, we want to shoot the shit, but it's stories like that, you know, where you can help out, and, you know, you were aligned with Velcro, and they were, you know, kudos to them for real, for you know, stepping up, helping Scott out with his mission, and you got a chance to be part of that. But you know, those kind of experiences are there. You just got to look for them.
Oh, dude, they're everywhere. So we looked at one of the things when we were building the program. or expanding it later on, was we looked at Boys and Girls Club of Manchester, right?
Okay.
So Manchester, New Hampshire, there's I don't remember the statistics now, but there's like a significant percentage of the students that go to the schools there that are on vouchers that they eat. And the Boys and Girls Club serves an additional meal in the afternoon for these kids. So there's kids that only get to eat lunch at school. And if they go to the Boys and Girls Club, they get like a snack, quasi light dinner snack type thing. And on the days that they don't go, they don't eat. Right. And I'm not,
in the US.
I'm not saying like 3%. I'm talking
Manchester?
like 15% of the kids there. It was like some astronomical level of poverty that's actually out there. And it's, it's real and it's actionable and it doesn't take much. I mean, most of the time, all you really need to do is it's either, you give money, but and especially on a corporate sense, a lot of the times the organizations aren't looking for you to give money. They're looking for something else, a little bit more involvement, an opportunity, spending time with them and helping them understand, tutor them.
Yeah.
Right. And that was, we actually, we didn't end up sponsoring it, but we facilitated connecting Manchester Community College with the Boys and Girls Club because they do after school tutoring, and Manchester Community College had an education program.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, you have students that need hours teaching.
Right.
And these people need people to come in and teach and tutor. So we married them together and they worked out some sort, I don't know the details of what came out of it, but they worked out a program where you could get credit hours for tutoring at the Boys and Girls Club towards your degree later on.
Wow.
So it was a big part of really a big part of what we did in our program was more facilitating conversations between two groups that really could work together they didn't need us. We just kind of made the connection and then walked away, so.
And that could be some lasting change, some lasting impact.
Yeah. It's cool.
Shit.
Yeah. So that was Velcro.
Man.
Good times.
So you did that.
We did some good business. We launched some new products.
Yeah.
We updated the mil spec for hook and loop and, which is the closure, the Velcro closure, real terms, hook and loop. But
empowered the Army to get their moto patches on.
We made sure they could put
gear.
all of their patches.
What up, Army?
Yes. So did that, and then almost 2 years ago, in April of 2017, I left Velcro, and now I work with.
How did you detach? Did you?
Something like that.
Cheesy jokes. That's what happens.
Absolutely.
Good cigar.
Yeah, and I went to Polartec. So I'm at Polartec now, and Polartec makes. We invented fleece, and we make all of the cozy shit.
Was the one that actually invented the fleece?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, because. Shout out to Castro's. That's where we're at here in Nashua. This place is badass. And if you're watching on video, if you're listening, there's video. I think it's on YouTube. And you can see this amazing background. But you know what? Upstairs gets cold as shit. But I wore my fleece today. So I am thankful that Polartec.
Yeah, it looks like a Polartec fleece too. Looks like our product.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that because I prepared this time. Last podcast, I got colder and colder.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Mark and colder. But okay. So, what was the opportunity? You just saw a job posting like, hey, military?
No. A guy I worked with at Velcro who was there for a little bit, went to Polartec, became their vice president of product, and he connected me with vice president of sales. And I was at SHOT Show, which is a shooting, hunting, outdoor trade show. And we just connected and had a conversation, and then it kind of went from there. And they were looking for their military program manager, government program manager is the title. And but what I do is I manage kind of the sales and product management, quasi business development activities for Polartec with the military.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like a sick job. We met
it's a cool job.
Maybe a month ago and a couple months ago. And I heard that and I was like, hell yeah. But of course, here's the reality. You have to get out of the military to actually get the good gear, right?
No, I'll tell you.
That's my approach.
I'll tell you the gear, if you're in the Army specifically, because they have their Gen 3 ECWAC system uses a lot of our material. And the fleece jacket that looks like this that they get issued is the same quality as any of the premier brands that you're going to look at. Like they're getting good shit. The product that you guys get issued is legit. You're in the Marine Corps, the frog gear, so your FR midweight, the grid. And if you see a fleece that has grid on it, it's our fleece. So in the military,
fleece with grid. I don't know if I've seen. We did have like a black fleece,
and it had little squares on the inside.
I don't know, but it did have like the nylon top, kind of like this, but it was all black.
Yeah. So if you have grid, what you'll see is on the inside of it, the next to skin portion, there's like little squares, are probably about a 1/4 inch, or they can be smaller, whatever size. But we have IP on grid technology. So the Frog midweight level, which is being issued right now to the Marine Corps, that's all our no melt, no drip fleece that we make and issue.
Hell yeah!
So it's a great job. I mean, and there's nothing like being at, we go to AUSA, which is a major trade show. We're going to be at Modern Day Marine next year.
It's a trade show, Modern Day Marine?
Modern Day Marine. And there's
yeah.
East, there's West. It's Pendleton and Quantico. And so you go to those and you have people come up to you. At Velcro, people are like, oh, man, your shit's too loud, right? So you're always fighting that, just like you said, right? So you're always fighting that perception. And but when you go and you make fleece, you make sure that keeps people warm when it's shitty outside and it's raining, and it helps them stay warm and comfortable and dry. Warm, dry, cool, safe is kind of our focus. Those are the categories.
Wait, what is it?
Warm, dry, cool, and safe. That's what our product
Warm,
gives you.
dry, cool, safe.
Yeah, we have all different. We have next to skin. We have weather protection. We have pretty much everything that you're looking for, right? And FR, no melt, no drip variants of it. But it's a company that is so focused on having the premium product and making good shit and making good shit at a good price point.
Yeah.
And making sure that, when an order comes in for the military, it gets priority over everything else.
Hell yeah.
So U.S. military orders have priority. Great company, privately owned.
Wait, what's the company again?
Polartec.
Polartec. Right.
Yeah. So Polar Fleece, when you think about Polar Fleece, it's Polartec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember there's a coyote brown fleece we got too. And that was that was awesome, because otherwise it's like a skivvy shirt or your camis.
Yep, that's our shit.
What about beanies? You guys make those?
Yep, your coyote watch cap.
Hell yeah, coyote watch cap. Those things were like gold. You don't want to lose that because your stupid shaped naked head is going to be cold.
Yep, that's our shit.
Yeah, no, those beanies. I still have one, man. It's good.
It is. It's fantastic.
Comfy.
Product.
Sleep in that thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So does that mean you're like swimming in gear at home?
Once when I worked at Natick and I was in the government office, I was definitely swimming in gear. And over time, I've been exposed to it for so long now that I'm not swimming in it, but what I have is good.
Right. So you're not.
I went from quantity to quality.
Yeah, you're like, oh, let me get more. Yeah, you're just okay. You got the core stuff.
Yeah, I have good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's and I mean the other thing is our company's coming out with fantastic stuff. So if you're at SHOT next week or the following week, and or if you're at Outdoor Retailer the week after that, please stop by our booth. I'll be at the SHOT Supplier Showcase in Las Vegas. It's Monday, Tuesday of SHOT Show Week, and come by the booth, man. Say hi. Come check out some new stuff. We have new no melt, no drip domestic merino wool.
Wait, no melt?
No melt, no drip. So catch it on fire, doesn't stick.
Okay, I got a brand new fleece for Christmas for my wife, and I was tending to our fire, because what is Christmas without a fire in the fireplace? I got one little spark on, this is the day I received it. I got one little spark on my arm, and no shit, I burned a hole in my fleece. Yeah. So you're saying there's a way now, the new kind of fleece?
Yeah, well, we have, and it's not, we've had it for a while, but what we're improving on now is we have a wool-based system. So it's made out of domestically produced, because what many people don't know is that if you buy a textile base, if the Department of Defense money goes towards a textile based good from fiber forward, it has to be domestically.
Hell yeah.
It can't be, you can't buy from China.
Right.
It all has to be US made. And it's called the Berry Amendment. So anything has to be Berry compliant. And so we have wool that comes from Colorado. Where else does it come from? Colorado is the big one, and Montana, sheep ranching. And it's like merino wool, like the nicest shit that you'd buy. And we have garments now, fabric that can be made into garments that is not only wool next to skin, which has amazing properties. If you Google it, look up wool, how awesome it is. It's amazing stuff. But it's also no melt, no drip. And it has improved performance. You can wash it, doesn't shrink, doesn't felt, doesn't do all this stuff. And it's we're launching that. Actually, we launched that at AUSA, and we'll have it at SHOT, and we'll have it at OR as well.
Going to Vegas on business sounds like a rough job.
It's a hard life, But I'll tell you, man, I can do like 4 days max.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I got to get out.
Yeah. Right now, people are going, "Oh, it's weak, man," but no, get in the business world, and biz dev, right? You're shaking hands, kissing babies, ordering drinks.
You're on 24/7.
Yeah.
You're on.
Yeah, there's no 4 on, 8 off, right?
No, it's not.
You're on.
I actually,
That's fun.
last year when I was there, it's funny. One of our customers and a good buddy of mine, Paul Parsons, he's like, we're trying to get a meeting. We're trying to connect and stuff, and everybody's busy. He finally calls me. He's like, listen, man, can we just go to like, I forget what it is, like Red Robin or something like that. Like it was in the food court, like this little burger stand in the food court. He's like, I just can't go have like a dinner and be around everybody. I'm like, dude, that's perfect.
Yeah,
let's go get burgers and milkshakes. I've been in dinner, in dinners, and it gets pretty intense. I mean, if you have a chance to go to SHOT Show, it's amazing. It is massive.
Is that the Vegas one?
Yeah, it's massive.
SHOT
It's
Show.
3 floors of the convention center that's attached to the Venetian.
Jeez.
3 floors. It's full. It's huge, right? And it's packed. So that is so we'll be there showcasing fabric, talking to peeps, military, law enforcement, all kinds of people.
Sounds like a blast.
It's a cool job.
Sounds like a blast.
Our CEO told me I have the best job in the company, and I wholeheartedly agree with him.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is just making fleece back at home, and you're just crushing it out there. That's awesome, man. It's great that you get a chance to still work with the military, and you've got a purpose too, because you're getting the best gear. And sometimes people talk about somebody gets some good stuff in the U.S. and they're like, well, what about the veterans, right? And so it's great to see like the military having quality fleece, quality, heats. I mean, I've been on many a frozen, event out in the wilds, whether it's desert or up here in the stupid snow, and yeah, priceless to have that. So you're like equipping, the next generation of Marines. It's cool. Yeah,
it's the Marines, Army, Air Force. I mean, we
everybody, right?
Post office buys our stuff. Like everybody in the government system.
Post office.
It's cool having that. Being adjacent, right, and still having an impact.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah. Right on.
So, you guys hiring?
I'm sure there's some positions open. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Cool.
Why are you looking for something you can bring on board?
Just think about fellow Marine out there. So that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, there's always stuff. I mean, we have manufacturing in Chattanooga. We have manufacturing in Hudson, New Hampshire. The corporate office is here in Andover, Mass. So, Velcro.com, careers, look up there. I'm guarantee you there's something open. We're growing. We're a great company to work for. I can't say anything bad about the company. It's fantastic. We have great leadership, great corporate culture.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah, it's an awesome company.
You got some corporate responsibility where you're at now?
We have some activities we do. We're really focused on environmental. We actually, most of the products that we made are made out of recycled bottles. So our fabric has resulted in over a billion of these have been recycled and made into fabrics for Polartec. So
that's cool, man. It keeps it out of the dump, and you get to wear it. Keeps you warm.
Yeah, and it's polyester, right? This is polyester. Same thing. It's going to be made.
So it's the same plastic in a bottle as kind of what you're wearing.
PET. Yep, it's the same. It's the same. What's the term? Chemical, if you will.
Plastic
substrate. Yeah. So it's cool that we do this. We have a new product that we're launching called Power Air, and
nice.
It works specifically on trapping. So if you look in the news, microfibers are kind of a big deal right now, and microplastics get into the waterways, and it decreases any kind of shedding or anything like that. So it's an amazing focus on how we can address this, get in front of it, make sure that we're doing the right thing. Our products already are high quality. They don't shed much at all, compared to other, kind of commodity fleeces and cheaper products that are out there. But
they're
we're
like
also
piling that weird.
Well, it's like when you wash it, like
it gets all
off.
nasty. Yeah.
So Power Air does not do that because all the fibers are entrapped, and it's still super warm, super sexy looking. It's cool. Adidas is launching some products. I think there's some other companies too. So.
I've definitely bought some shitty fleece where you wash it once and then that sexy look is gone. And now you got that northeastern grandma look.
Exactly.
No offense, grandma.
Yeah, the focus is, buy good stuff, man. This kind of comes back to early on we were talking about, like have your focus, buy good stuff, work your body, stay healthy, Stay engaged. Don't look for the easy route.
Yeah.
Don't look for disposable
Get that
stuff.
struggle in there.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, we got people turning on TV and everything. Live studio
It's
audience.
getting live.
Yeah. The show will begin later.
Right on.
Well, this is cool, man. How can people connect with you? LinkedIn, what's good?
LinkedIn, Will Tagye. So there's not many of us. So if you Google it,
spell that.
last name is Tagye, Tagye, Tango, Alpha, Golf, Yankee, Echo.
Still got it.
And LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. That's about it.
That's it, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming, man. This is cool.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Fun. So everyone out there, man, hey, this has been fun. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all the next time.
That's right. Keep it real. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.